I've always thought about writing a book. Since I've been doing wine education dinners called Wine O'Clock Culinary Experiences, I present wine in a pretty unique way, giving it personalities, giving it jobs, basically making a human out of the wine. And after every one of my events, it's invariable that someone says, you should really write a book. I've never heard wine talked about this way. So it's really been something I've always wanted to do. Seriously started to consider it 2 years ago and actually finished the book just under 3 months ago. So just different parts of the whole viticulture experience. Sometimes it's compared to a region, sometimes it's compared to a certain varietal, and sometimes it's a part of the whole winemaking process. Like the chapter about my son is actually is the same as making wine out of grapes. So it starts out with him in the vineyard as a little baby, and then it becomes him actually launching and going to college, and then becoming the man that he is today. I started drinking wine right after the boy was born, when I found out that it paired well with food. And then after we moved to Loudoun County, I found out that we lived in wine country. I didn't even know that we did. So at that point, I was like, well, we have to check this out. And then just watching all of the different ways that the wine expresses itself in Loudoun, that is so different, whether you're at, Botso Family Wine or a mega winery like Stone Tower. Lots of different experiences can be had at wineries, so why can't each wine have its own actual experience, its own actual relationship, definition? So it was born out of a passion for it, and then also a bit of a talent for it. I was 8 years old when I figured out, well, I didn't know it when I was 8, but an experience at 8 years old is part of why I think wine works well for me. I was trying to learn how to ride a bike. I was terrible at it. My friends just put me at the top of a hill and just said, pedal and you'll stay up, and that's how you ride a bike. And I was young and stupid, and so I did that. Well, they didn't tell me how to stop. When I hit the ground, I was screaming. It was 100 degrees Nebraska summer, and I got a mouthful of grass clippings and tar and gravel. And the fact that this first time I tried a white wine that had any of those characteristics, I regaled the tasting room associate with that story. Not only was my tasting free, but I did find out that I knew about non-food items that you can find in wine, and a sommelier was born. What I learned is that people are very intimidated by wine, and they're intimidated by wine people. And so one of the missions that I have on my wine journey and with writing this book is to demystify it and to let everyone know that everybody has the opportunity to have wine be theirs. You can't be wrong. If you say you taste persimmon in wine and the tasting notes say peach, who cares? It's your palate. So I like to make people feel more comfortable around the wine bottle. I like to make them feel comfortable ordering wine in a restaurant or picking it up at a supermarket. When I do the Loudoun Wine Nights events, which are regular events that I do with the Marriott, Washington Dulles Airport Marriott, I like to introduce people to Virginia wine in a way that stops them from saying, oh, I don't drink Virginia wine, I only drink California wine. And I let them know, I'm like, listen, come and give it a try. If you find absolutely nothing you like, you will get your money back tonight. I've never had to give anybody money back, and almost everybody leaves with at least one bottle that they fell in love with, that they said to themselves, I didn't know wine could taste like this. I didn't know wine could pair like this. So what I'm really finding out is that people are curious, but they're afraid to ask. And I think my approach to it makes them comfortable, and they feel like, you know what, there really isn't any stupid questions. So that's my goal. And I've learned that people are drawn to the fact that I'm not just talking about wine as a beverage. I talk about it as an experience, as something that can enhance your event. Now, also, of course, drinking it responsibly so it doesn't end up something you can't remember. So that's kind of the joke, drink enough to make a memory, but not enough to forget the memory, the moment. Oh, that's a good line. What I'm learning is that there is definitely a group of people out there, even younger people, which the wine industry is struggling to connect with. I'm not. I have people between 25 and 35 who are in my circle, they come regularly to my events. They ask me questions and they feel really comfortable around me. So maybe my job is to bring in the young folks, make sure that wine continues a trajectory of being something that everyone can enjoy no matter how ancient they are or how young they are, and the same with the wines. People are responding to the Lost in Translation very well. That's where I was trying to say cheers in Estonian and kind of messed that up. But now people will walk up to me in the street who've heard me read it and they will use my bastardization of cheers. And then my Toxic X has been really popular simply because almost everyone I've ever met has one. And so halfway through the story, they're like, you have to go back and say this part again because I was so focused on my toxic situation, I wasn't really listening. So it's actually been very cool to read that one aloud to people at events. And I've been doing events all over Loudoun County, at restaurants, at wineries, at G Vino, wine bar. Those two chapters have really been resonating. When I do networking and work events, I have a chapter about your relationships with your business besties and people, collaborators and business partners. And they seem to really like that one a lot and want me to actually come and do a talk on how to do collaborations. So the book was really, a compilation of my own life experiences, but also a way for me to continue coaching people and also doing, more wine events as a sommelier. Yeah, so the book right now is on Amazon, both the digital version and paperback. In the next couple of weeks, it'll be for sale on my website where people can get it for even less, but also get some special extras. So anyone who buys it locally, for example, will be able to win wine tasting tickets that I purchase from the wineries and I give out to people who support the book. If there are small businesses that want me to come and do a talk on the comparison between their business and the process involved in making wine, how do we plant it to make it priceless? How do we make this vintage valuable? That's something else that I'll be doing locally. But you'll be able to find it also on Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, any place you buy your books, this book will be there. It was a #1 bestseller when it launched, and I see it being the first book in a series, the Pour series. So I don't think it is coming, because as I started writing some chapters, I realized that it wasn't a relationship that I was writing about. It was actually the personality of the wine in the bottle, or the person I was talking about. So there's going to be a personality book that comes. There'll be a wine pairing book that comes, but you'll be able to find it absolutely everywhere. And the response has been humbly, overwhelmingly positive on the book. I would encourage anyone who is curious about wine to just get out there and give it a try. There are plenty of great ways to get out to the wineries out here in Virginia, or ways to get the wine brought to you, and try some different varietals. Read the book and find your own personality in there and find out what you've been missing.